Right, we're carrying on with the hormone questions. Right, an investigation was carried out to find the effect of growth hormone on milk production. So, groups of cows were given different masses of growth hormone. The volume of the milk produced was then measured. So, the control where nothing's given, that produced, that's your standard 100%. It's in volume of milk in any units, arbitrary. It doesn't matter whether it's liters, centimeters, cubed, it doesn't matter. Now, if you give a cow 30 milligrams of hormone, its milk increased to, what would that be, 116. If you gave them 33, it would give them 1, 2, 4. And if you gave them 40 milligrams, you would end up with 130. So it's going up from 100. It jumps up a lot, and then it tapers off a bit. Right, so if you think about it just for 1 second, let's take this a stage further. So if you gave them 100 and no, so if you gave them just say 40, just say if you gave them 50 milligrams of the hormone, it might only go to 138. And then if you gave them 60, it might only go to 140. So eventually it's going to stop increasing the milk yield. So what the farmer needs to do is say, right, okay, I tell you what, if I give them 33 milligrams, I'm going to get a 24% increase. But if I start giving them more, I'm getting very little in return. So I tell you what, I might set my dose as that. So that's just something on the side. It might not have to do with this question, but let's move on. How much growth hormone should have been given to the control group? None. Because the idea behind the control group is you want to know if the milk production is due to the hormone or something else that's happened. So describe the effect of growth hormone on milk production. As the amount of hormone is increased, so is milk production. Okay, let's move on. Farmers want to make reliable comparisons about the effect of different doses of growth hormone. What was done in this investigation to make the results reliable? So what they used was they used lots of cows. There's no good just using one cow because that might have been an anomalous result or anomaly or anomalous, right, if I can spell that. So it's an anomaly. That means that's a result, unusual result, and it might give a wrong impression whether it works or not, both ways. Many variables that affect milk production need to be kept the same for each group of cows. This is to allow a valid comparison. This allows a valid comparison to be made between each group. Give two variables that need to be kept the same. So in this case, something like species. So keep the species of the cow. Keep the age of the cow. Because older cows might produce, really old cows might produce less milk. Really young cows might produce less milk. You make sure that you keep them with the same food levels, nutrition, same water levels, and they've also said the temperature that you keep them in. So it's no good keeping in winter doing this test and then keeping some in a barn and some outside. Right, growth hormone. Blah. Growth hormone is a protein. What were the three groups? We said carbohydrates. We said proteins, and we said lipids. Carbohydrates, what can we say about those? Starchy foods, like for example potato, flour. Right, they break down into, so for example, you've got starch, you've got glucose. Protein, most of it, think of it as meat. Right, you can also have plant-based protein, so for example, legumes, dals, beans. Right, what do they break down into? Amino acids. Also learn the word peptide. Lipids, we know, for example, if they are solid at room temperature, they call it a fat. If it's liquid, they call it an oil. What do they break down into? Two: glycerol and fatty acids. Okay, so it might be present in milk. Some people are worried that the growth hormone may harm humans. Other people say it's not a problem. First of all, it's pasteurized. Secondly, it's destroyed in the human stomach. So yes, what happens to growth hormone when milk is pasteurized? So you get some milk and you heat it. Oh, what temperature? Right, okay. So what they're saying is you heat it to about 71.7 degrees Celsius. That's quite precise. For at least 15 seconds. That's to kill off any pathogens, bacteria that might spoil the milk or cause. That's the thinking behind that. Anyway, right. So what happens when the growth hormone, when the milk is pasteurized? It is denatured. Right. So the hormone is denatured. What does that mean? Right. That's the enzyme. All right. Okay. Well, let's just forget that for now. We can come back to that if we need to. So it's denatured due to the heat. Right, that means it can't perform its function as a protein, as a growth hormone. Right, describe how the growth hormone could be destroyed in the stomach. So what happens in the stomach? You end up with, you have hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid is okay, let's just put, it's easier saying, has a low pH value. Hydrochloric acid has a low pH value, so this denatures the growth hormone, so it can't function as a growth hormone. Also, the stomach secretes secretes or releases trypsin. You could have used the word protease, which breaks it down into either peptides or amino acids. You can use both words. Acids. So that's the thinking behind that, because it's a 3 marker. Right, that there, you can pause this and go through question 5. We'll move on to question 6 quickly. This video is going to get too long. Right, with question 6, plant cell walls are made out of cellulose. It's good to know that, actually. Cellulose. We don't have any enzymes in our bodies to break down the cell wall of a plant, so it goes through our digestive system and is egested as feces or poo. Cellulose is an insoluble molecule made from simple sugar such as starch. Right, the rabbit's intestine contains bacteria that can digest cellulose. Right, why is this an advantage for it? That's interesting. Right, the rabbit can digest it, break it down into glucose, so it can be used for respiration. And respiration, remember we said respiration is the chemical reactions in the cell that release, that turn glucose into energy that we need. Okay. When the deer runs away when it sees the wolf. The effector is the muscle. That's the thing that it uses to run away. The deer releases a hormone when it sees a wolf. What is this hormone? Explain how this hormone helps. Right, okay. So we know it releases adrenaline. Adrenaline is released. Right. This increases the breathing rate. So more oxygen is available. Oh my god, did I just write that? Is available. So more oxygen is available for aerobic respiration by the muscles. You also remember it's talking about runaway. Also the heart rate increases, so more blood flows around the body. You also more glycogen is turned into glucose for respiration. Let's put aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration, and for energy for the muscles. For energy for the muscles. Right, that's a 3 marker. That should do it. Okay. All right. So this here is a neuron. Right. So it's saying, right, let's have a look. What type of cell is it? Right, there was 3 types of neuron. Well, 2 in particular, but so remember that's the pinprick, the one that sends an impulse to the central nervous system is called the sensory neuron. Then what happens, you've got in the central nervous system, so that's your spine there, you have the relay neuron, and then what did we say, from there it goes down to the arm or the muscle, that is called the motor neuron. So this arc we should know about, reflex arc. Right, the first neuron, sensory neuron, the cell body is outside the central nervous system. The second one is inside, and the third one is also inside. Right, so that there is the nucleus inside the cell body. Right, the signal is moving away from the cell body, so it will be an axon. So these here will be dendrites. That's the nucleus body, the cell body, and these are axons. And this cover is the myelin sheath. I think, yeah, that should cover it. Right. Draw an arrow on the diagram to show the direction of the nerve impulse. So it's going in this direction. It always goes from the body along the away from the body along the axon. So it's coming in this way. So you could have drawn an arrow that way. Describe the role of this neuron in a simple reflex arc. It's there. Right, so what we said was it carries the impulse to the effector, and it's normally a muscle. Right, and your 2 marks will come from the word impulse and effector. Right, we've done this sort of question before. Nervous communication differs from hormonal. How do they differ? So nervous involves electrical impulses, whilst hormonal involve chemicals. Nervous is short and quick. Hormonal is slow and long lasting. Longer lasting. Nervous communication targets specific areas or organs or cells, whilst hormonal travels all over the body through the blood. Nervous is via neurons, and hormonal is in the blood. And that should cover it. They only want 3. Right, okay. Let's try this one. Right, hormones are chemicals that are produced by the endocrine glands and are secreted into the blood. The hormones are then transported to target cells in another part of the body. Males have testes that produce a sex hormone, testosterone, that causes body hair to grow. Females have ovaries that produce the sex hormones estrogen. The pancreas produces progesterone. The pancreas produces hormones that regulate blood glucose. One of these hormones is called, it turns glucose, called insulin. This turns glucose to glycogen in the liver. Another hormone causes heart rate to increase in response to danger. This hormone is called, so something that gets you ready to fight or flight, adrenaline. Right. Okay. Right, let's keep going. It's 24 minutes. See if we can squeeze this in this video. The body controls its internal environment. One example is the control for concentration of the blood, so it can control the concentration of the blood. Give the name for controlling the internal environment. It's called homeostasis. Homeo meaning same or steady. Stasis meaning state. Give the name for controlling the concentration of blood. It's osmoregulation. Right. Okay. A person entering a warm environment may become dehydrated as the concentration of blood changes. Explain how the concentration of blood is restored. So at the moment you have low water levels or high concentration of blood. So there's your blood. There's not enough water in there. So your body needs to bring some water back. So what happens? There's sensor cells in the, I think, hypothalamus. So right, the hypothalamus, thalamus. How do you spell hypothalamus? One sec. Hypothalamus. The hypothalamus detects that blood concentration has gone up. So it sends a signal to the pituitary gland to secrete or to release antidiuretic hormone. This travels in the bloodstream to the kidney or kidneys. The collecting duct in the kidney, becomes more permeable. The collecting duct in the kidney becomes more permeable, absorbing more water into the blood. What happens next? This means what? The blood becomes less concentrated and the urine becomes more concentrated. That will cover the 4 marks. Let's keep going. A person's response to a changing environment involves communication by nerves. Right, okay, so remember what we said? Nerves use electrical impulses. Hormones use chemicals. Nerves target specific areas or organs, or cells, whilst the the hormones travel all over the body. Although the hormones travel all over the body in the bloodstream. Although they only have an effect where you've got a receptor cell. Travel all over the body. Right. Nerves are quick and short-lived. Hormones are slower and longer lasting. Right. Let's move on. Animals produce hormones to communicate between cells. Which hormones cause the development of secondary sexual characteristics in a girl? It's not adrenaline. It's not testosterone. Nah, I can never remember which one's which. I wonder if it's progesterone. Nope, it's estrogen. So that's the one we want. So estrogen produces that. Which hormone causes increased blood flow levels in the muscles during exercise? It's not insulin. Which hormone? Progesterone. It won't be that. During exercise. Do you need adrenaline during exercise, or does the testosterone make you naturally stronger and more aggressive? They've said it's adrenaline. During exercise, okay. Which of these is the correct statement about hormones? They're not carried by, they're transported in the plasma. They always produce a rapid response. Nope, we know this law. They always produce short-term changes. Nope. So it's definitely C on its own. All right, okay, I think we discussed this. Plants produce growth substance called auxin. Some biologists do not consider auxins to be a hormone. Why? They are not produced by endocrine glands and do not travel in the bloodstream. So I think that should cover it, because they've also said that auxins have a different effect on roots and shoots, so they have a totally different effect. So that's why. But these two should cover it. They're not produced by endocrine glands and they do not travel in the bloodstream. Right, okay, that's fair enough, that's done. Right, well done.